Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
It has happened.
Think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
Karoline Leavitt just pulled off the impossible. She won. The irony, off the charts. The same Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and the rest of the crew on The View who love labeling conservatives as conspiracy theorists just got proven wrong on a national scale. For years, they've spun narratives, but after months of courtroom drama, viral backlash, and desperate damage control from ABC's brass, Karoline didn't just fight back, she obliterated them. That $800 million defamation lawsuit, it just swung decisively in her favor. That's right, the daytime TV fortress that once seemed untouchable just took a knockout blow, and it's the biggest one in its history. Whoopi, Joy, Sunny, they're rattled. Their credibility in pieces. The network scrambling. But Karoline, she didn't just win a case, she rewrote the rules. This is bigger than one courtroom win. It's a turning point, a full-on culture shift. Someone finally stood their ground against corporate media and said, enough. So how did we get here? What exactly did The View say that sparked this legal inferno? And how did Karoline turn a media hit piece into a legal victory that shook Hollywood? Buckle up, this one's a wild ride.
Think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
Like most of The View's headline-making disasters, this one started with a smirk, that smug look, the eye roll, the polished insult passed off as casual chatter. Karoline didn't walk into that studio unaware. She knew what it was, a setup, a political firing squad where conservative women, in particular, are often turned into punchlines instead of guests. But she walked in regardless. Sharp outfit, steady tone, mission clear. Talk about national defense, civic duty, real policy. She came ready to inform, not perform. Instead, she got blindsided, a staged conversation that felt more like a trap.
They really don't like this woman. She's a good communicator. And so Joy Behar just offered her analysis on why Leavitt was picked for the role.
Joy led the attack. She leaned forward, eyes narrowed, voice laced with sarcasm, that trademark smirk locked in. Karoline's not here for her intellect. Trump probably just thinks she's a 10. The audience didn't laugh. They howled. Not because it was funny, but because it was meant to sting. The crowd went wild. Laughs, claps, even snorts. Not with her, at her. It was all designed to humiliate. And just when it looked like it couldn't get nastier, Sunny Hostin jumped in before the room even settled. Let's be honest, this isn't about qualifications. She's just a poster child for privilege. End of story. And just when it looked like the worst was over, Whoopi Goldberg leaned back, arms folded, and delivered the line that would detonate everything.
I had something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
That was it. The spark. The match against gasoline. Within hours, the clip spread like wildfire. Social media blew up, so the rear cheer at Karoline's setup and The View Unhinged were plastered across timelines. But Karoline, no panic, no meltdown, no Twitter tirade, no emotional live stream. She simply adjusted her blazer, sipped her water like nothing happened, and smiled.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now, as
I'm
for
sorry,
this
guys.
debate,
We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
These women are completely out of touch with reality, and you're right, ABC should wake up.
That was her moment. No flinch, no retreat, fully composed. And when the cameras cut, she didn't complain, she acted. She picked up her phone and dialed the people who don't bluff, her legal team. Then came the headlines. Loud, fast, unrelenting. Karoline Leavitt sues The View for $800 million. A BC rocked by massive defamation lawsuit. Conservative firebrand unleashes legal storm on daytime TV. In one move, she flipped the narrative. This wasn't just another TV skirmish, it was a full-blown war. Armed with a top-tier legal squad, concrete evidence, and hours of damning footage, Karoline launched an assault that would rattle the media industry. The accusation, clear and devastating, character assassination, and this wasn't some fuzzy he said she said. Karoline's legal team brought the receipts, verbatim transcripts, timestamps, every loaded word documented. They submitted raw footage, unedited, behind the scenes, complete with off-air smirks and celebratory high fives. Then came the hammer blow, leaked internal Slack messages. Producers caught red-handed plotting the ambush. One line sealed ABC's fate. Let Joy open with the looks jab. Whoopi will end it with a dagger. That was the kill shot. The evidence wasn't a panel. It was a premeditated takedown masked as entertainment. A BC never saw it coming. The executive floor went into full crisis mode. Legal scrambled. PR scrambled harder. Emergency meetings, overnight damage control, suspension talks, morale imploding. Even insiders at the network admitted it. This wasn't a scandal. This was an internal collapse. And then came the final strike. Karoline dropped this scorched earth indictment.
President Trump's life echoed the sentiment that President Trump is a threat to democracy. And if you're a deranged lunatic and you're mentally ill, you will believe that lie. And yes, you will take political violence like we have seen in 2 instances against President Trump. Last week, Tim Walz and Kamala Harris said that everyone who showed up to President Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden was a Nazi. That's despicable, dangerous, divisive rhetoric that is spewed by the Democrat Party every single day.
It wasn't just about Karoline anymore. It was about the ecosystem that fed on smears and spin finally being held to account. The moment the lawsuit hit national news, everything at ABC changed. The air shifted. Swagger turned to panic. Behind the glossy backdrops and rehearsed smiles, the mood turned frantic. The usual loudmouths, whispering, the laughing, gone.
You know, we have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and sex.
According to people inside the building, the first to crack wasn't a producer, it was Whoopi Goldberg. Yes, Whoopi, the unflappable, the icon, the one who'd brushed off scandals like lint from a blazer. Not this time. Sources say she reached out to someone both she and Karoline knew, and her message was laced with a tone no one expected. Can we meet? Just talk? We don't have to let this get worse. But it already had. Then came Joy Behar. On camera, she's a flamethrower. Off camera, different story. Insiders say Joy picked up the phone herself, called one of Karoline's lawyers. No assistants, no agents, just her. And allegedly she was fishing for a way to settle, quietly. Maybe she suggested they could draft a statement, float a public apology. It reeked of fear. And then there was Sunny Hostin. No pretense, no small talk. Sunny, the only one on that panel with a law degree, saw the writing on the wall before anyone else. Sources say she immediately contacted her own private counsel, separate from ABC's legal department, fast, quiet, desperate. Word is, she asked more than once if she could be taken off the lawsuit completely. Karoline's team didn't blink, not once, because while the panel scrambled behind closed doors to snuff out the fire, Karoline's legal squad calmly poured gasoline.
Based on looks, when DEI is all about based on looks.
It was chaos in the boardroom. ABC's execs were locked in non-stop crisis meetings. Every angle debated. Do they settle? Do they issue a groveling statement? Do they cancel the show? Yes, that word, cancel, was whispered for the first time during a late-night emergency session between top legal brass and crisis PR. And like all whispers, it didn't stay quiet for long. Staff overheard, screenshots leaked, Twitter exploded. The View, once the gold standard of daytime TV, was now radioactive. Karoline, ice cold, no backpedaling, no begging. Her legal team dropped a single-line statement that echoed through the halls of media power. Accountability cannot be negotiated. Boom, that was it. The moment everything pivoted. While The View clung to the hope that an apology could patch the wound, Karoline made it clear they were going the distance. Then came the day everyone knew was coming, the showdown. Outside the courthouse, it looked more like awards night than legal proceedings. Cameras, fans, reporters packed in like sardines. This wasn't a hearing, this was a spectacle. Karoline walked in like a thunderstorm in silk. Navy suit, crisp hair, expression calm, every move precise. No entourage, no dramatics, just control. Across the aisle, total meltdown. Whoopi, once the face of cool defiance, showed up in oversized shades. Inside, no eye contact, shoulders tight, hands shaking. Beside her, Joy Behar looked pale, lips drawn tight. Not a single joke, not even a sarcastic whisper. Sunny Hostin, gripping a stack of legal papers like a lifeline. Despite her experience, she looked rattled, eyes darting, hands clenched. Then the trial kicked off. Karoline's attorneys didn't waste a beat. They hit play. Footage rolled, slow motion, high definition. The segment that started it all. Clip after clip, insult after insult, snide comments, derisive laughter, personal digs stacked like bricks in a wall of humiliation. The room fell into dead silence. You could hear a pen drop, then they brought the hammer. Internal communications, emails, Slack chats, show notes, planning documents, and then the one that dropped jaws, the bold, unmissable line projected on the courtroom screen. We need a viral moment. Karoline's the target today. Game over. The room froze. Audible gasps swept through the gallery. Even the judge paused, brow raised. Jurors exchanged glances. One covered her mouth in shock, another just shook his head. And then came the dagger. A leaked voice memo from a producer, recorded after the broadcast. We got what we needed. She cracked. Only she didn't. Karoline sat motionless, composed, watching it all unfold like she'd seen it play out 100 times before. She didn't flinch, she didn't blink, just watched. Across the aisle, collapse. Whoopi's head dropped like a weight. Joy gripped her water bottle, but her hand just hovered. Sunny's fingers couldn't stay still, tapping, twitching, anything to avoid eye contact. The message was loud and clear. This wasn't confusion, it wasn't miscommunication, it was a hit job. And Karoline, she wasn't just surviving it, she was rewriting the entire game. Then, the moment everyone had been waiting for, a courtroom packed to the edges, reporters scribbling furiously, cameras ready. Karoline sat in the front, hands folded, posture steel straight. Whoopi, Joy, Sunny, statues, pale, still. The jury returned, no smiles, no giveaways. The four-person stood, faced the bench, and delivered the line that would ripple across media history. On the count of defamation, we find the defendants liable. Boom. That word alone detonated inside the courtroom, but the shockwave was still coming. The View and ABC were hit with a penalty so massive it made headlines across every continent. $800 million in damages. Let that number sink in. 800 million. Not a slap on the wrist, a reckoning. Within minutes, the internet was in meltdown. Twitter combusted. TikTok lit up with reactions, edits, and stitched takes. YouTubers went live, narrating the verdict as it dropped. Some broke down crying on camera. Hashtags exploded, but Karoline wins. The View on trial. Media reckoning. Whoopi wrecked. Cancel the View news anchors. Stunned. Couldn't even find the words. One stunned broadcaster muttered it live on air. We just witnessed the most expensive talk show mistake in television history. And Karoline? No fist pump, no smirk, no victory speech, just grace. She thanked her legal team, smiled as the flashbulbs fired, and walked out like the boss everyone now knew she was. Meanwhile, The View, they weren't reporting the headlines, they were the headline.
The most divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world.
The next morning, bedlam inside ABC. Sources said panic hit a new tier. Advertisers, big names, global brands started pulling out within hours. PR teams were overwhelmed. Legal departments working 24/7. Emergency strategy sessions were being held non-stop. One internal memo later leaked summed it up with brutal honesty. We underestimated this guest. We underestimated this lawsuit, and now we're facing the worst PR crisis in network history. As for the hosts, Whoopi hasn't been seen on set since. Joy, gone completely silent. Sunny vanished from the media landscape. Producers, dodging press, canceling appearances, refusing comment. According to insiders, the backstage atmosphere is more funeral than newsroom. And Karoline? She's soaring. Once labeled fringe, now crowned the conservative AOC with evidence. Media outlets who once dismissed her are now praising her strategy. Her follower count is skyrocketing, comments pouring in. One viral tweet nailed the mood. Karoline didn't just win in court, she won an entire generation's trust. Another, the girl who took on daytime TV and won.
There is a lot of reporting out there that is putting the onus on this White House for the increased cost of eggs. I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office, or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country. We also have seen the cost of everything, not just eggs. Bacon, groceries, gasoline have increased because of the inflationary policies of the last administration.
Fans aren't just posting, they're building a brand. Merchandise is flooding Etsy and Shopify. T-shirts that read 800 million equals silence. Stickers, mock someone, lawyer up. This isn't just fanfare anymore, it's a movement. And while The View stumbles around the ruins of its reputation, Karoline, she's rising fast.
Do you want to take this?
So, you cannot be attractive and smart? I will try to give Joy the benefit, and well, thank you. I try to give Joy the benefit of the doubt that she didn't see that briefing. Because if you saw that yesterday on numerous topics, no big binder, I think she might have had a different impression of this young woman who held her own.
I mean, you would have to give her the benefit of the doubt that she did absolutely no research or reading about anything dealing with Karoline Leavitt before she made that remark.
So now comes the question, what happens next? Industry insiders say the shock is rippling far beyond ABC. Talk show producers are rewriting guest protocols. Legal teams are training on-air talent on what not to say. Media executives are meeting behind closed doors, wondering what's still safe to say live, because The View proves something. You can't just spit a narrative and walk away anymore. Not with Karoline Leavitt in the chair, not when the silence has been broken. And Karoline, she's not roaring, not ranting, not even slowing down. She's just winning, with facts, with precision, with calm power that brought one of the loudest platforms in America to its knees. This verdict, it didn't just flip the script, it flipped the whole industry. Producers, hosts, networks. Lesson learned, words carry weight, and now they carry consequences.
Yes, and as you mentioned, with conservative women, there's a long list of that, both of Trump's previous press secretaries, females, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Kayleigh McEnany, other figures like his campaign manager the first time, Kellyanne Conway, Sarah Palin very famously had to bear the brunt of a lot of this. So people are used to that. I think in their bubble of the audience that The View speaks to, that's probably kind of what the group think is. So one defense, I guess, is that she was speaking to her audience, but you take it outside of that bubble the way you are right now, and we all can see.
Now it's your turn. Was Karoline right to take this all the way? Did The View finally go too far? And are we watching a turning point in American media? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're watching, and if you believe the truth still matters, smash that like button. Hit subscribe so you don't miss a beat, because this story isn't over. Stay tuned.